Welcome to Royal Legacy, where we will explore the rich athletic history and deep family connections of BYU sports. Join us as we honor the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future of the BYU Cougars. Here's your host, Lauren McClain.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Lauren McClain, and welcome to Royal Legacy, where we dive deep into the family connections of BYU sports. Today, we have part 2 of my interview with BYU football's Fowler clan, Blaine the dad and sons Kellen, Landon, and Gavin. I begin by asking Landon Fowler about his decision to play at BYU. You ended up playing 1 year at BYU, is that right? So take me kind of through your journey to get there.
Yeah, mine's a unique journey. It was a few more than it was longer than 1 year for sure, but it was a wild ride. So I had scholarship offer to play at SUU, and our high school team was a great high school team. We won the state championship in 5A.
It was Davis, right?
Yeah, and I had a lot of good friends that were going to go play at SUU. My best friend Scott Larson, a couple other guys, a couple other teammates. So I had that option, or I had the preferred walk-on spot at BYU. Similar kind of weighing it and figuring out well, where do I really want to be academically, and weighing everything else in. Ultimately decided on BYU. I wanted it to be big time football, right? SUU, great program and everything, but I just wanted to feel like much bigger than what high school felt like. So I decided to do BYU, but I was always very young for my grade. My birthday's in July. I was always the very youngest in my grade, so I knew I had a full year before mission. So I gray shirted that first year. So all I did is work out, try to put on weight, get ready for when I come back on my mission. So I did that for the first year. I actually played spring ball before my mission. Did really well. I was working with the 2s and 3s at safety and corner that spring, and then I got called on a mission the next summer to go to India, and I went to India for 2 years and just kind of wasted away physically. So then I came back from India, had to really work on my body for about a year. So I redshirted that year, which would have been 2008, which would have been Kellen's senior year.
We actually worked out together.
Yeah, we worked out together. I had to get hernia surgery, and I was 160 pounds and skinny fat.
India is.
Were you one of the first missionaries to go to India? Had they been? They probably hadn't.
There
been
was a
going
wave that went around that time.
Okay.
That we had a really friendly consulate in the embassy here in San Francisco that signed a bunch of visas for about 100 of us to go over a 2-year span.
And we hadn't had missionaries previous to that.
Yeah.
For a long, long time in India. And part of it was due, I remember Elder Oaks telling me the story because he would always ask me, how's Landon doing when I would see him? He was the president when I was first here, and he knew that Landon got called, and we'd see each other on a flight, and he'd say, how's our missionary? How's Landon doing? How's Elder Fowler doing over in India? That's really important to us. And it had to do with the big tsunami that hit over there, and the church was the very first aid organization before anybody else in the world. We were there helping. And it made such an impression on the leaders of the country that they gave us a series of visas, and Landon was one of the first to go.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
So anyway,
but it destroyed your body.
That long journey got me to when I was finally ready to play football, after gray shirting, red shirting, being 22 years old. I played in 2009 that fall. It was the year that we went 11-2 and beat Oregon State in Vegas Bowl. It was a great season. But then my academics and my football eligibility were all screwed up because I was I took a bunch of AP classes in high school, so I was already basically a sophomore eligibility-wise. Yeah. So I was almost done with my bachelor's by the time I was just kind of starting in football. Mm-hmm. So I didn't play all the way through because then I was getting internships. I was in the accounting program, getting internships, working on jobs, and so I played that 2009 year. I played the following year, and then. Finished. It just moved on, moved to Arizona, got jobs after my sophomore eligibility of football. Yeah.
Well, did you just kind of make that decision all right, this is what's going to be more important in my life. It's probably time to be done.
Yeah. I mean, there was still several more years I could have, kept battling and kept playing on special teams and working my way up the depth chart and all that. But yeah, I had already, was almost done with the accounting program. Was married. We were looking at having our first kid. Yeah. We were looking to, move out of state for that first job. And so
in reality, he was in the program for 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, it all worked out, though.
Absolutely. I mean, like Kellen said, some of our best friends, definitely made in that time being part of the program, being with great teammates and friends. Like Kellen and I are going on a cruise next week with James Lark, who was one of my teammates,
awesome.
at the time. So yeah, no regrets at all. It was a wonderful experience, and I love being part of the program.
And one of the best seasons too that you're actually a part of. Really cool.
Yeah.
Gavin, you're now a football coach for the BYU football program, but where did your love for BYU start and made you want to go play there?
Obviously just all growing up especially with Kellen playing when I was little, and then, just the family ties. But my experience getting there was a little different. Very similar to Kellen's experience being recruited in high school. I played quarterback too, just like Kellen did. Had some schools interested in me playing quarterback. At the time, BYU was recruiting me to play quarterback. University of Utah, who was Kalani Sitake and Aaron Roderick and Morgan Scally, wanted me to come play DB up there. And they were very straightforward about, hey, we love you, but we want you to play either DB or receiver and not quarterback. So, but that was kind of when it came down to where do I want to go. I had some interest from some schools like Cal and Washington State, but I didn't really want to leave the state as much. And so
Andy Ludwig was at Cal recruiting.
Yeah, Andy was at Cal at the time. And so it was like, do I want to go out of state somewhere like that and play quarterback? Do I want to be close to family, BYU? Do I want to go play for these coaches at Utah that want me to play, defense or receiver? And it was kind of a weird deal, but, ultimately I think I always wanted to go to BYU. Yeah. And a big part actually was that Landon was still here. And so I decided to come to BYU, and I was really excited because we were going to play 1 year together before I went on a mission. And then right after I decided to go to BYU, he decided he was done playing. So we didn't end up getting overlap, which is it's all good. But then I came, similar to these guys, came for 1 year before my mission. But my experience was different a little. I mean, everyone's experience is different, but mine was kind of up and down because my first 3 years were hard because I came to play quarterback here because that's what I got recruited as, and then literally switched to safety probably my second day here, which was frustrating because it was this the plan all along? I wanted to play quarterback, and now I'm switching to play safety, and kind of had an up and down first 3 years here that were really hard. Came back from my mission, went on my mission to Long Beach, California, came back. Had
Cambodian speaking, or Khmer.
Yeah.
Of course.
Had a bunch of injuries right when I got home. Just didn't feel like I really fit, and honestly for a long time wondered, like, did I choose the wrong school? Like, do I not belong here? And then it was kind of crazy how it all happened because then the coaching staff all left, and then all those guys that recruited me up at Utah came down here. And Kalani immediately, when he got the job, I was around when he was here, and we came in and met with him, and he was like, no, I want you here badly. Like, stay here, please. And so, because I was worried at the time, I had just gotten out of surgery, not just barely gotten out, but I was recovering from surgery, and I'm thinking, who wants this guy that has been in the program for 3 years and hasn't played it down because of all these injuries and stuff? Like, switch positions.
Back-to-back ACL injuries on each.
And so I was very stressed about it. My dream my whole life was to play football at BYU, and now I'm here and I haven't played, and do these new coaches want me anymore? And Kalani was like, no, absolutely, I want you. And then the next 3 years were the best football years of my life. And not what I accomplished on the field. I was just kind of a role player, special teams guy and all that. But the experiences I had in those 3 years were the best experiences with my teammates, with my coaches and all that, which ultimately has led me to where I am now. Kalani was the one that wanted me to stick around when I got done, and is the one that's convinced me to stay every year when other jobs and stuff come up. And so, yeah, I mean, at the time, went through a lot of crap to get to where I am, but now looking back, this is where I was supposed to be the whole time, to get me to where I am now, which is exactly where I'm supposed to be. So, which is cool to be able to have that kind of perspective about it all. But ultimately, I think I always wanted to go to BYU, but getting there was a lot to do with these guys, and then staying here was a lot to do with Kalani and the guys that I get to work with now.
Crazy how life happens, right?
Yeah.
Those coaches that recruited you up there, and you're like, oh, maybe I should, and then they end up here. Yeah. It's just that, which also proves you how small the coaching world is, which I'm sure you know. So I want to know, what is more satisfying, and this is probably a dumb question, coaching a really good team and seeing them do really well, or playing on one?
So the teams I played for weren't very good, honestly. We went the 2 years I played, my junior year, we went 4-9, so we were not good. And then the next year we went 7-6, and so like we were okay. So great. In high school, my teams were really good though. I went to like Landon, we didn't quite win, but I went to state championship. So I played on good teams all growing up. But I would say coaching really good teams. Like this last year was really, really fun. 2020 when we went 11-1 was really, really fun and so gratifying. And maybe some of that has to do with how I would, like, again, I wasn't some big superstar player. I was very much a role player that only played so much, and which that's okay. Those guys are important too. You need them on every team. But with coaching, I feel like I'm a much better coach than I ever was as a player. I think, and this confidence comes from what we talked about earlier with him. Like, I believe I can be a very, very good coach, and I was just an okay player, and so I get a lot of fulfillment and a lot of joy and satisfaction out of what I'm doing now as a coach. And seeing your players that you get to work with play at a really high level and achieve their dreams is awesome.
Well, I'm sure the fact that Kalani keeps asking you to stick around is probably a good testament of how good of a coach you are. Blaine,
and being successful is fun, right?
Winning
it's
is
always more fun to be on a good team.
Kalani tells me all the time, he is a great coach. He can't go anywhere. He needs to stay here with me. He is going to be a great coach.
You're like, Kalani, at some point,
I know.
you might.
I know. So no, but Kalani feels very highly about Gavin's future in coaching, which is great.
Yeah. Because
Kalani's worked with a lot of great coaches, and he's and Gavin's had a chance to work with some great coaches too. This opportunity to be with Jay Hill these last few years has been. And you learn from everybody that you're with. You learned a lot from Ed and from Elisa, and you learned a lot. You learned a ton from Kalani, and now he gets to work with Jay and with Gary Anderson and with Kelly Papinga and with that whole group. And Gennaro has been really good.
Yeah.
So you learn from all of these people. He's worked with so many good people that he's got a little bit of all of them in him.
That's an incredible opportunity right there.
Yeah,
all those
cool.
men that he just mentioned.
Yeah.
Blaine, what is it like having all three of your boys choose to play football at BYU after everything you've experienced and invested into the program yourself?
Yeah, it was amazing. The first time they ran out of the tunnel was a thrill for me because I remember what that was like. The first time you run out and the stadium is full, it's not the first time you walk out and go warm up, but the first time you go back into the locker room and put full pads on and everything, and you run out for real right before the game, and the stadium is full and the band is playing. There's nothing quite like that. So to have them all have the opportunity to do that was pretty cool. That was, and they all made plays and did things, and had great moments, out on the field. But I think that first time they all ran out, I was like, oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad they get to experience this.
I think there's also something to that too that you knew. Like for me, I think lots of kids may be different, and what their ambition is. I played with guys who, at BYU, they wanted to be in the NFL. That was what they grew up dreaming about. I grew up wanting to belong on the field at BYU. And so to be able to run out and know all the work that you'd put in and to have the respect of your teammates and coaches for them to say, yeah, you're a part of this, you belong here, felt like the culmination of decades worth of early mornings, weightlifting, running sprints, believing in yourself when maybe other people didn't, and all that. And so I think my dad, he knew that story for us. He knew the backstory that it took to get there, which, to be fair, is not unique to our family. That's something that I don't think the casual fan appreciates, how much heart and desire and work and dream goes in to even being able to run out on the field. And so I think when we did that, and you're wearing the colors and everything, it's just like, still when I see the team run out, there's times it'll literally bring a tear to my eye because I know what that meant to me. Yeah. So I know what it means to a bunch of those guys down there on the field at that moment.
BYU was kind of your end game, where a lot of people were looking totally beyond that.
Yeah, and people ask me now, like, so did you try for the NFL? And it's like, not really. Like, and maybe I was like self-aware enough to look in the mirror and be like, I'm not that good. I was good enough to be a good player in college and to be a great contributor to some good teams that had a lot of success. But I didn't belong in the NFL. And so I didn't go to pro day. I didn't do any of that. The day I was done and took my pads off for the last time, I hung it up proudly and got ready to go to law school. But that was always what it was about. And it was about being part of that, but also about like knowing that I had wanted to do that for so long and actually being able to realize that dream was super powerful. Despite all the setbacks and all the times where, maybe yourself wondered whether it's real, but you had to fall back on that confidence and give it the full go to actually make it. Because you're not going to get there if you don't commit and go all in, you won't make it. And so I think we all went all in, and it worked out, and that's amazing.
That is
And it's a numbers like there's only so many guys that can actually be on the squad. Gavin deals with it all the time now. He's like, man, we have to cut some good guys. I hate that.
The worst.
Like some like very gifted players. If you're on
good,
that
good
squad,
kids.
which all of these guys were, and played at different amounts, right? But if you're on that squad, you're an
good.
elite player.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but it's also nice when you've put all of that work in and you've accomplished, and then okay, now it's time for me to do something else. Now you can set your sights and go do. You can go with great confidence that, hey, I put everything into this, and I was able to accomplish these things, and that's great. And now I'm going to use the lessons that I just learned from all of that discipline to go into this next phase, and whether it's coaching or whether it's being a CFO of a company or whether it's being the senior vice president of a company, it's all of those things they learned by going through that grind will help them now and forever.
I like the balance between confidence and self-awareness, like you mentioned, Kellen, as well. Because they seem like that they could butt heads a little bit, but it seems like you guys kind of have a good grasp on that, and then you go be great in something else, right? You've all found success on and off the football field. You got a sister, like you mentioned, who's on Broadway, which is incredible. Landon, how do you all support each other in your successes as a family?
Yeah, I think we're definitely been taught and of the mind that it's not a competition. None of this is a zero-sum game. And Gavin's success as a coach at BYU is also my success, and it's the whole family's success. And again, we're going to go back to Grandma and Grandpa Fowler, but Grandma and Grandpa Fowler were they were the ultimate like kind of brag about your family people. And they would meet random person in the student athlete building and be like, do you know because maybe at the time I was playing, do you know my son Landon? He's on the football team. He's doing the accounting program. He went on a mission, and they'll just kind of go on and on. And I do the same thing to this day about, like I had to travel to New York the other week for work. We have an office over there. And while I was over there, I snuck off to go see Libby do her play, to play her role in Wicked. And of course, I told everyone at the office about it. Like, my sister's in Wicked. Jeez. You guys realize my sister's here on Broadway? I'm here for work, but I'm going to take advantage of this time. And we definitely have kind of taken that. Hopefully it's not too obnoxious that we brag about each other, but we'd rather that than cut down or make it competitive.
Everyone, and we love that our kids all support each other, and our Nicole, who's down in St. George, is this ridiculous marathoner. She's a sprinter in school, and she's become this marathoner that's
she was a fantastic broadcaster too.
Qualified by time to run the Boston Marathon, the New York Marathon. We all travel out and go support her and watch her do that. These guys they just show up for each other all the time, which is really, really important.
All right, let's end with some fun questions, okay? Of everyone in this, we're just going to narrow it down to this room, okay? Who is the most competitive between the four of you?
Me?
Probably Kellen.
Kellen?
I would think so.
Most intense?
Most intense, Kellen.
Most intense.
We're talking like card games or pickleball or whatever.
Well, earlier when you asked who's the fastest, I don't have a problem admitting Killen's faster than me. It's okay. I don't have a problem admitting Landon's a better basketball player than me. Now, if we're going to play, I'm going to win. I'm going to win.
I didn't say Landon was a better basketball player. He's a better shooter.
No, I'll admit Landon is the best basketball player.
He can shoot it.
I'm the self-awareness. It's okay to admit that. But if we're going to do it, I'm going to try to win. We're always going to try to win. But it's not. Kellen's the most intensely competitive, I would say. We're all competitive. We always want to win all the time.
But I think to qualify that, I think we all want to win all the time. And I don't actually think I can't remember a time when we've had bad feelings about that. I think I'm probably just the most intense personality generally in the family.
Probably.
But, that doesn't, we'll go play basketball, and I lose 9 in a row, and I walk out just as happy as if I won 9 in a row. Because we're used to beating each other. We're all really competitive. So you win and you lose, and that's part of life.
One thing that all these guys can do, which is an interesting phenomenon, because I always look for it in athletes. They can all do it. And Nicole and Libby can do it, too. Libby does it on stage all the time. People that are composed and confident, when the moment gets bigger, their focus gets better. And like I think of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We think of Tom Brady and Steve Young, who's my teammate. And how is it that Tom Brady can complete on the year 64% of his passes, but in the last 3 minutes of football games, if the game is within one score, he completes like 88% of his balls?
Yeah.
And these guys all, through their whole lives, whether it's been in sports or school, when the moment's on the line, whether it's on the stage for Libby, whether it's Nicole running in a marathon, coaching to make the right decision, they've been really able, for some reason, to relish the moment rather than shrink from the moment. I think that's part of growing up with confidence, and go, oh, this is what I prepared for. This is why I put in all the work, to be in this minute so that I can hit it out of the park on this. And that's a great characteristic to be able to perform in the clutch, no matter what it is. And across the board, for some reason, our kids have all been able to do that. When the moment's on the line, they come up with a big performance. And even when we go play golf, I like to, it's like, hey, you know what? Let's put this on it. And everybody's standing around the tee and watching. I'm like, good. Like, that's good. Well, because this is when I'm going to hit it down the middle.
But like Kellen said, we'll go compete and play golf together, the four of us. But no matter who wins, it's not like
we're all happy.
It's not like the people who lost are mad. Like, it's just we still have fun, but we still want to win.
You want to win.
I think it's an interesting ability to turn it on and turn it off that I also think is really important. And my wife has commented on this when people are like, so I think it's funny, and maybe I shouldn't be too vocal about it, but like there are fans who get really upset when BYU loses. Fans.
Yeah.
That's
like,
not surprising.
And they have no control over it.
Yeah, they didn't practice. They didn't put any time or energy into it, and it'll like ruin their weekend. Even when I played, I cared as much as anybody about those 60 minutes on the field. But I always knew that that's what I do. That's not who I am. And when you lose, your family who came from all over to support you, they still need a hug. They still want to go out to dinner. And luckily, maybe I learned it in high school. I lost a lot in high school. We were not very good.
These two won a lot. He lost a lot.
Yeah.
So then he won a lot in college.
Yeah.
They flipped in college.
You have to be able to turn it on in competition and then turn it off when you get out of competition, because people who can't turn it off, nobody wants to be around that person after the game is over. And so I think we all can flip it on.
Time and energy.
It gets intense when it gets flipped on, but then you step back and like it's not a comment on your personal value, whether you won or lost an athletic thing or a game or whatever it is. So that's what you did, but who you are is something much deeper than that. And you can go back to being who you are, and you can always be kind. You can always be polite. You can always treat people with respect. That's outside of the game. So I think that's a really important quality that I will admit, when I was younger, and maybe this is probably where I'm different than my brothers, I didn't have that. And like growing up in the neighborhood, I had to win all the time.
I had to have it because I was going against him. He's 3.5 years older, and so I had to learn to lose early. Yeah, but as did Gavin. So maybe that's why. Right?
Back then, I couldn't turn it off. It didn't matter if I was 11 and the kids on the court were 7. It was him and his buddies. It just meant I had to dunk on him that much harder, right? But now, then you kind of get a little bit of self-awareness and like, oh, that's what a jerk is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be that.
And these guys, it's important. Kalani teaches what Kellen's talking about all the time with the kids. It's like, you go lay it all out, and you are passionate to win. But this is a game. And when you don't, if you've left it all on the field, then you can walk away from it and go, okay, now it's time to return to normal life and be a family person and be kind and be gracious and do all of that, which is... He teaches that all the time. And I think Kevin Young, I've only known him for a little while now, but I feel like Kevin's got that, where he's just like, yeah, we lost. We're going to look at that. We're going to figure that out. We move on.
Move on. That's one of my favorite things about Kalani, honestly. I think it blows people's minds that he can do that.
The perspective he has is pretty amazing. And he teaches a lot of great lessons.
And it's great to have that even when you're outside the athletic arena. Because you go to work. We're in competitive fields. We want to win. We want to succeed in our work. But my kids don't actually care how my big presentation to the board went when I get home. They don't even know about it. And so if something went bad at work and things aren't going the way that I want, they just want me to come roll around on the floor and wrestle and do whatever. So it's a great skill to be able to turn on that intensity, because intensity, being able to be focused and give your best and your best is asked, is a really important skill to be successful. Yeah. Being able to turn it off, and when you don't need that intensity, it's probably an equally important skill for long-term success and relationship building.
So that was a really long answer to your question.
I loved it.
The short answer, we're all very competitive. I would still say Kellen's probably the best.
Long story short, the answer's Kellen.
Which is hard on me because I'm also the oldest, so now I can't beat anybody in the race. I'm getting my butt kicked left and right.
Oh, so good. Okay, my last question for all of you, so we'll go around the table quickly. I want you all to give one piece of advice to the next generation of Fowlers who might play at BYU one day. And we're going to start with the baby this time, and Gavin.
I need time to think about that.
You're like, this was the one time I didn't want to go first.
No, I think the same thing that we started with. Like, you can accomplish anything you want to. With the right support system, with the right people, you can accomplish anything you want to. And like me, it might not – this is kind of – I'm trying to come up with the words. Things will work out how they're supposed to as well. As long as you do your best and you work as hard as you can to accomplish things you want to, things will work out how they're supposed to. Because my path was very different than I expected, and it didn't always go the way I wanted it to. But looking back, it was exactly how it was supposed to be for me. So if you do everything that you can and you work as hard as you can, you believe in yourself as much as you can, things will work out the way they're supposed to.
It's great advice. All right, we're going to Landon next.
Yeah, I mean, I have kids that are into sports and into football. I've got a 13-year-old that plays football, and I've got a 6-year-old that's begging me to play football. And I coach their teams, and there's a few things that I would make sure that they know. One, I would make sure that they know we love them no matter what, right? No matter they do sports or they are successful or what. The love is unconditional. But then kind of putting my coach hat on a little bit more, I always preach to the boys that I coach that, hey, anytime we're practicing, anytime we're working on something, we're always going to work really hard. So you're going to give it your best, which Gavin mentioned. We're always going to be looking to improve. We're going to get better, and then we're always going to be trying to have fun, because ultimately, like, we do this because it's fun. Mm-hmm. We watch it because it's fun. Like, football that's what it's really meant for. It's we take it really serious sometimes, but it ultimately is supposed to be fun. So I always try to remind the kids, like, you should be having fun. If you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, especially at 13 years old, right?
Yeah,
they got to remember that.
Yeah,
I love that. Kellen?
I think the things that I was thinking while these two were talking align really closely with what Landon was saying, but they also align really closely with themes we've talked about throughout the evening tonight. I would just encourage the next generation of Fowlers, or anybody, find something that you love. Find a passion. Throw your whole heart into it, because you never know where you're going to get to if you really go after it. Be all in, like we talked about, towards that passion. And then don't forget to love it while you do. I remember some days in practice when it was hard, when I was like on the verge of throwing up or, whatever. But then you pause and you look up at temp with snow on the mountains. And you're like, but where would I rather be than this? Yeah. And so find a passion, go after it with all your heart, and love it while you're doing it. Take advantage. It only lasts so long. Love it. And that applies in sports, in life, in marriage, in everything.
And your family exudes that very thing that you just said. All right, we're going over here to Gramps.
Jeez, like these guys
to finish it off.
These guys have covered it, but I'm trying to think, like, to wrap it all together, because what Kellen said I think is really, really important, to chase your passions. Different people are passionate about different things, even in the same family, and so find something that you love and then go hard at it, right, and put in the time, and then you can feel that great sense of satisfaction of, hey, I put time and effort into something that I love and I got better, regardless of what level you got, and I got better. There's a great sense of self-esteem and satisfaction that comes with that. But then I'll go back to something that I can't remember which one of you said. I think it was Landon that said, like, and I think you both said this, and Gavin even touched on it, and that is, what you do is not who you are, right? So these things are fun. They're to give us variety to our life, and to give us happiness, and to give us a self-confidence, and help us have a sense of achievement, all these things that we chase after. Mostly we do it because they're fun, right? But who we are, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Who we are is how we treat other people, right? And kindness, what else? Love, all those things are more important.
Such a powerful message. I'm here with former BYU football players Dad Blaine and sons Landon, Gavin, and Kellen, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I know you have very busy lives, but I appreciate it. I think the people that are going to be listening to this will love it. So thanks so much. Thanks again to Blaine, Landon, Gavin, and Kellen Fowler for coming on the show with me. Tori Kimball helped produce this episode with senior producer Terry South. You can join the Royal Legacy wherever you get your podcasts on Apple, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, or on BYUradio.org. Royal Legacy is a production of BYU Broadcasting.